turn to the current head coach of UCLA football on his usual Tuesdays with Mora spot. Jim Mora back here on the show. How are you, Jim?
Rich, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing. Look, I got Kareem in my green room right now, Jim.
I heard that. That's pretty cool.
That it is. That it is. And then I just chatted with Deion Sanders, who, as you know, is one of the most hilarious, talented people that's ever released.
You know what's interesting though about you is that I think at one point that the scales start to tip, and guys like Kareem and Deion, they might even be more thrilled that they've been invited to be on your show than you are to have them on your show. I think you're reaching that status.
Do you think the scales have tipped in that direction, Jim?
I think so, and I'm just honored that I'm even hanging around.
Wow.
I felt like I'd have been dropped a long time ago.
No.
The heights that you're reaching, I just feel like I'm dead weight almost.
Look at you, Jim. Look at you trying to look at you. I don't understand what's gotten into you. I mean, I know you've got a couple wins in a row. I mean, you're feeling good. That sounds like.
No, I'm feeling exactly the same as I feel after a loss. Just ready for the next one, baby.
I love it, man.
Ready for the next one, Rich.
Hey, before we get to your team, what happened to Cutcliffe and Duke with the Miami and Duke finish? If I put you in a position of power, let's say you're now running the NCAA, Jim.
Yeah.
You're Commissioner Mora, if we make it up. Would you be up, knowing with your coaching background, would you be up for a rule that if replay shows with zeros on the clock, something has happened that would change the result of the game, that you could retroactively change the result of the game based on replay? Would you be up for that?
Have the teams left the field?
Yes, they have.
No. You can't do that. It has ramifications across all spectrums of sport. You can't do that. There's no sport that does that, is there?
No, there isn't.
I mean, we're talking from darts to ping pong to the NFL. No, I don't think you can do that. I think it's just tragic what happened. I mean, you look at Duke and they fall in the polls. It affects their bowl. And, really, they won the game. But for the unfortunate fact that, the officials didn't quite get the call. I'm trying to be nice here. Didn't quite get the calls right.
Yes,
it's awful. It's awful. But no, I don't think you can retroact. I think that changes the dynamic of everything that we believe to be true about sports. Is when you leave the battlefield, the competition field, the court, the ping pong table, whatever it may be, the dartboard, it's over.
Yeah,
it's
but
over.
I'm not saying that you can go back and look at something in the first, second, third quarter, or
no,
even
I know
the
you're
fourth.
talking about the last
at
play
zeros,
of the game.
zeros, that we know that this thing gets called correctly in real time on replay, that we should be able, let's just even make it 24 hours. It's a 24-hour rule. In the same way that for our kids, it's like a 5-second rule of food that drops on the floor.
Yeah.
It's a 24-hour rule.
You have your fourth, it's like a minute rule. So, yeah. You pick
I
up
love
low
that.
on it and say, go ahead, it's good.
I love that parenting from head coaches. I saw Jim Harbaugh said that steak was good for you, that he would have steak every single day is what he counsels kids to do. That's what my coach said yesterday.
Yeah, what the heck?
That actually happened.
I think, Rich, it's crazy. I mean, if I was in Coach Cutcliffe's shoes, I'm sure I'd be like, you got to give us that win. We won the game. You got to give us that win. But I think when you step back and you look at it objectively, I don't know that you can do that. But it's tragic. It's so tragic for him, for the kids. They work so hard, and to be put in that position, have that happen it's awful. And there was it seemed to me like 3 clips, and I don't know. I think the question here is what the NFL has asked itself for years and years and years is, do we need full-time officials? So maybe we don't miss those things at the rate that we're missing them now.
But how would that help? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I think it's like anything. Okay, the more you do it, the better you get at it if you apply yourself and you have a propensity for doing it. So the more times you put officials on the field in competitive situations, a la practice every single day, like we practice every single day, then I think they're going to be better when they get to games. So I think that they should be, if you're going to have NFL, if you're going to count on your officials to be as effective as you're counting on your players and coaches to be, then it needs to be full time. They need to be doing it all the time. Whether it's like we do, we look at film, and then we go out and we practice, and then we come back and we look at the film of what we just practiced, and so we try to learn from it. So I think the more repetitions you get, whether they're mental reps or they're physical reps, the better you're going to get at anything.
Did you suggest that
officiating is the same thing? So why not have officials at every single practice? Why not make that part of the protocol? Have them at every single practice so they see every single situation that ever comes up, and then they're more prepared on Saturday. Now, I don't think that that's feasible. I think it's a pipe dream.
Yeah.
I think I'm just spinning a tall tale here. But I'm saying in the ideal world, that would be really great. I think the officials would love it because, you know what? We can all sit there and we can criticize the officials, but I can promise you this, because I know these guys very, very well, is they go out there just like we do with the intentions of doing the best job that they can. They're good men. They're men of integrity. They're men that work hard. They want to do well. They want to be respected. They are affected by criticism. So the way you help them is you make it a full-time job. Now, can you do that? Probably not. But that's just the world according to Garp or Jim.
No, well, but when you were in the NFL, were you advocating that? And plus, I mean, you have to know, obviously, why would it be a money thing? Why the NFL wouldn't go ahead and do something like
yeah,
that?
but you know, it's money thing. Come on, man.
No, seriously.
How much money the NFL's making?
No,
they're printing money. They're printing money. As a matter of fact, I heard that the U.S. Mint is now at on Park Avenue. I mean, they're printing money. So to think that they couldn't pay these officials is absurd. It's like, no, Rich, it's beyond absurd.
So then why wouldn't something like this
I don't
be
know.
put into
You'd
effect?
have to ask the power. I'm not even in that league anymore. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, in terms of the league that you're currently in the Pac-12 and the collegiate ranks, we're going to get some computer's going to spit out some numbers, and then you're going to get college playoff standings coming out. Is that something that you're going to?
No, I'm not worried about that right now because I know we're not going to be in the top few. We're worried about just trying to win our next game and stay in the hunt. You know, we are in a position now where if we are able to find a way to win the rest of our games, which starts with trying to win the very first of the rest of our games, then you know, maybe something good like that happens for us. But that's a long, long ways away, and our focus has to be directly on what we're doing today to get better, to try to beat an Oregon State team on Saturday. That's where we have to focus. So that's what I focus on.
Right.
And I think that's what our kids focus on. I think that's why we have a chance. You know, we've had to overcome a whole lot this year, which a lot of people in the country have. But specific to our defense, just a ton of injuries, and for us to just be able to gather these wins that we're getting, it's helping us grow, man. We're growing from it. We're getting stronger, and our confidence is growing, and our belief in each other is growing, and it's really fun to see these young men kind of embrace what's happening.
UCLA head coach Jim Mora joining me here. One last question for you from the NFL. Colin Kaepernick's been benched in San Francisco, coach. What goes into the decision to bench a quarterback who is clearly the starter and the entire fan base is hoping is the future of this franchise, who you have signed to a contract as such? Essentially, what's Tom Sula going through right now, do you think?
Well, I think those are organizational decisions. You know, those are decisions that Jed York was involved in, and Trent Baalke, of course, Coach Tomasulo, and the quarterback coach and the staff. Everybody, if you're going to make a decision like that, everybody has to be on the same page, and there has to be a plan in place. And I have no doubt that they did that. Nobody just acts on their own when making that decision. And I think many, many, many things go into it. You know, I think there's salary cap ramifications. Are you building for the future? Are you giving up on the guy? Are you giving him a break? And with the thought that maybe he just needs, you know, a break and he can come back and be stronger. Unless you're inside the walls of the building, you actually understand that the chemistry and the mood. It's really hard to say why and what they're doing and if it's going to work or not. And they are doing what they feel is best. These are decisions that are very well thought out, and a lot of energy and time and contemplation goes into it. And you hope you're making the right decision for everybody involved. And I'm sure that that's what they did. I'm sure it's not just, you don't just do this off the cuff. So,
what's your reaction to Whisenhunt losing his
God,
gig today?
You know, I just heard about it, and I hate it because I love Ken. I think he's a great coach. And I guess I don't know enough to understand why that would happen. Like I said, you know, it's easy for us outside to speculate, but there had to be something. There had to be something in play other than the record. There has to be, or you don't do this. And I don't know that we'll ever know what it was. But I feel for Ken. I feel for his staff. I feel for his families. I feel for their players in that organization. And that's a really good man, as you know, a really good man. Ken and I went to Iraq together on a USO tour. So I spent about 10 days 24 hours a day with Ken and Gary Kubiak and my dad and I. So I know him very, very well. I watched him interact with soldiers in Kuwait and Iraq, and I understand the type of man he is and the integrity that he has. And, I hope everything works out for the best for him.
Jim, I appreciate you calling in, as always, every Tuesday here on The Rich Eisen Show, and for saying what you said about the scales tipping, even though there's really no metric for that.
Oh, they've tipped.
You think so? I appreciate that.
It's pretty apparent, isn't it? You've got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar waiting in the green room, Rich.
Kareem's now in the draftops.com green room. He's now actually out here on the set, so I got to go, Jim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what he's saying? He's saying, why are you talking to that slappy when I'm standing out
No,
here?
he's a UCLA guy. I mean,
I know he is.
Right?
I know he is.
Right, Kareem? You watch the Bruins football games, right, Kareem? Yeah?
Tough game coming up against Utah.
That's right. He's concerned about the game against Utah already, Jim.
We're going to bring him with us for inspiration.
Okay.
The greatest Bruin of all time right there.
That's right, Jim. Thanks so much for calling in. I appreciate
See
it.
ya.
You bet.
Bye.
That's Jim Mora, UCLA head coach.